Good evening, this is Brastax. I'm Zaka Jacob. Rahul Gandhi's wait to be reinstated as a member of parliament continues. The Gujarat High Court today upheld the Sessions Court order and declined to stay his conviction for the defamation of Gujarat BJP MLA Purnesh Modi. The court had some scathing recordings in its order saying that there are as many as 10 other criminal cases pending against Rahul Gandhi, and such a punishment is needed for the purity of politics. The Congress party says this is the ultimate evidence of vendetta politics practiced by the BJP. The question is, who is playing victim and who is playing victor?
On the road to the 2024 elections, the Congress party has suffered another jolt. The Gujarat High Court refused to stay Rahul Gandhi's conviction in the Modi surname defamation case. The case pertains to Rahul Gandhi's remarks in 2019 at a rally in Karnataka's Kolar ahead of the Lok Sabha elections.
नीरव मोदी, ललित मोदी, नरेंद्र मोदी, इन सबके नाम मोदी 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 कैसे? ये सब चोरों के नाम मोदी 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 मोदी.
In his complaint which led to Rahul Gandhi's conviction, BJP MLA Purnesh Modi alleged that the Congress leader defamed the entire Modi community.
उस फैसले को हम नामदार हाईकोर्ट के फैसले को स्वीकार करते हैं. उनको अभी सोचना चाहिए कि कैसे इतिहास न रचे, हिंदुस्तान में सद्भावना से पेश आए, उनको सोचना है.
The BJP welcomed the verdict, saying Rahul Gandhi has to face the consequences.
आप जो करेंगे वो आपको भुगतना पड़ेगा. आप किसी पर झूठा आरोप लगाकर उसकी छवि को बिगाड़ देंगे. न कोई तथ्य है, न कोई प्रमाण है, न कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है, न कोई एविडेंस है.
Such foolish comments by a national leader, so-called national leader, irresponsible comments, have now resulted in the people of Wayanad not getting an opportunity to raise their issues in the parliament.
किसी को भी बोलने की आजादी, गाली की आजादी नहीं हो सकती. फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन का मतलब ये नहीं है कि फ्रीडम ऑफ अब्यूज.
The Gujarat High Court observed that Rahul Gandhi was seeking a stay on non-existent grounds, adding that as many as 10 cases are pending against the Congress leader. The court observed that the conviction was necessary for purity in politics, calling it just, proper and legal. Congress workers hit the streets after the Gujarat High Court's ruling, with party leaders accusing the BJP of conspiring to keep Rahul Gandhi out of parliament.
So the BJP leaders are not able to tolerate. They want to block you from the parliament. They want him to unnecessarily create for his speech, which is nowhere heard.
तो सत्य को ये लोग ने परेशान कर सकता है, पराजित नहीं कर सकता है. ये लड़ाई हमने आगे और आगे लेके जाएंगे.
The Congress party will continue the legal fight, now preparing to approach the Supreme Court.
हम पूरी कानून न्याय व्यवस्था में पूरी आस्था रखते हैं और उच्चतम न्यायालय में पूरी आस्था रखते हैं.
With no legal relief, Rahul Gandhi can't contest elections for the next 8 years. But as the Congress party continues to ring-fence its former party chief, can it claim the vendetta card after another setback from the court?
All right, joining us, full panel this evening here on Brastax. Nalin Kohli is national spokesperson of the BJP. Salman Soz, national spokesperson of the Congress party. Swapnil Kothari, lawyer, will be joining us. And so will Abhishek Manu Singhvi, senior lawyer and, of course, spokesperson of the Congress party. But let me start with Nalin Kohli first. Nalin, so the Congress's charge is that all of this smacks of vendetta. After all, from the soundbite of the rally that Mr. Gandhi addressed in 2019 in Kolar in Karnataka, it was clear that he was talking about Narendra Modi being a chore and not Purnesh Modi. So Purnesh Modi, or any other Modi for that matter, other than the ones that he named, have no locus standi in this case.
As a practicing lawyer, I would feel that that's a rather democratic argument being put forth by the Congress party. The fact of the matter is that Mr. Gandhi chose to make a statement that was distasteful. He abused the community, to put it bluntly. Why are people with a Modi surname all thieves? How would I react if the same thing was to me? Why are all Kohlis thieves? Or if he said all Jacobs are thieves? You would react equally violently in terms of saying, what is this? How are you dragging us into your politics? Somebody felt offended enough to go and file a case. It went to a court. Mr. Gandhi was well represented by a lawyer. A conviction happens. And then he says that, why am I being convicted in 2 years? So this is also, I must say, as a lawyer, for me, very surprising. Does a judge call the accused and say, how much would you like to be sentenced?
Yeah.
It's up to the judge to sentence a person. Whatever, in a murder case, somebody may get life imprisonment, somebody may get a death sentence. So this is for a judge to decide based on a fact of fact. Every day in a court of law, somebody wins, somebody loses. Some sentences sounds more, some sentence sounds less. You have a problem, you appeal it. You have every right to appeal it.
Okay.
And Congress leaders, after 3 appeals, which is in effect, they go to the Sessions Court, now the High Court, are raising allegations about the High Court. We won't get any justice in Gujarat. What is Gujarat? Is Gujarat something that hates the Congress? Politically, they do badly because the people are not convinced with their politics. But how do you run down a constitutional court, which is the High Court of Gujarat?
Okay.
Now, assume that the Supreme Court rejects their appeal. Would they say the Supreme Court is biased? And let me take the other converse. Suppose the Supreme Court stays the conviction and they get relief. So would they tomorrow be entitled to say that a constitutional court is biased and no one should have faith in the Gujarat High Court?
So let me ask Salman Soz. Let me ask.
Defending Mr. Gandhi is crossing every minute.
Got it, Nalin. Salman Soz, you know, there's some very, very scathing recordings that have been included as part of the judgment. The judge in the Gujarat High Court saying that this punishment meted out to Mr. Gandhi is needed to have purity in politics. In fact, the applicant, that is Rahul Gandhi, is trying to seek the stay of his conviction on absolutely non-existent grounds. It is a well-settled principle of law that stay of conviction is not a rule, but an exception that is resorted to in rare cases. So essentially, what this judge is saying is that Mr. Gandhi thinks his is an exceptional case and therefore he wants relief. But the judge is saying that punishment is the norm and not the exception. So Mr. Gandhi should face the punishment for whatever utterances he made, just like any other normal individual who's been convicted has to face.
First of all, Rahul Gandhi ji is ready to face anything that the RSS and the BJP throw at him. He's not afraid of them, nor are we in the Congress party. Let me just tell you, Zaka, and to the viewers and other panelists here, that the entire Congress party, the vast majority of India's opposition, and hundreds of millions of Indians, regular Indians, are standing with Rahul Gandhi ji. We are going to take this fight to the BJP, the RSS. We are not going to back down. As far as the Honorable High Court, this decision is concerned, first of all, let me just say that given what this regime has done to the institutions, to India's institutions, the decimation of Indian institutions, this is disappointing, but it is not an unsurprising verdict.
Okay.
But let me just address the High Court's observations, which
please.
are very interesting, because I don't think the contentions and the arguments that Rahul Gandhi ji's team has made, I don't believe those have been taken into consideration. But let's just listen to what the judge had to say.
Yeah.
The judge talked about false statements being made to affect the outcome of an election of a BJP candidate. Now, let me ask all of the people who are watching us, was 15 lakhs in each bank account? Was that a true statement? Was 2 crore jobs a year? Was that a true statement? Was 8 to 10% economic growth?
Who was that defaming, Salman? Who was that defaming?
Let me finish. Please give me an opportunity. Was that, because I want to remind people about elections and how they're conducted. 8 to 10% economic growth per year. Was that a true statement? Was doubling of farmer incomes? Was that a true statement? Was demonetization and end of black money? Was that a true statement? Was Lal Aankh to China? Was that a true statement?
No. One sec. Wait, these are political points. You can make these political points. I don't have a problem.
No, it's not political.
The only limited contention is that none of these cases that you enlisted defamed anybody. So if anybody took offense to any of the cases that you mentioned, those people or persons are well within their right to go ahead and file a defamation case.
Prime Minister Modi and our BJP leaders every day talk about this person is corrupt, that person is corrupt, without a shred of evidence being presented. They talk about 2G scam and Colgate and all this stuff without any conviction in all these years that they've been in power.
Okay.
So I would just submit that we are disappointed. We are not surprised. At the same time, we are going to go to the Supreme Court. And by the way, this is still at the interim stage. We were seeking interim relief. We will approach the Supreme Court. And by the way, people are watching. The people of this country are watching. They're watching how BJP is committing one self-goal after another. And I think ultimately the court of Janta, the Janta court.
Let's leave that to the People's Court to decide. But I want to bring in Swapnil Kothari and I want to read more paragraphs from the judgment, because the judge has gone into every detail of this case, and he has said that it's a well-settled principle of law that stay of conviction is not a rule but an exception. Disqualification is not limited just to MPs or MLAs. Moreover, and this is the interesting part, moreover, as many as 10 criminal cases are pending against the applicant. The applicant in this case happens to be Rahul Gandhi. It's now the need of the hour to have purity in politics. Representatives of people should be man enough and with clear antecedents. Now, clearly what the court is saying is that they have looked at the other antecedents of Rahul Gandhi. There are as many as 10 criminal cases, and that's why they feel that there is no grounds made out for stay of conviction in this defamation case. How would you see this, Swapnil?
Zaka, the ruling is very clear. The observations are very paramount there, and they point to the fact that because 10 other cases are pending, this person in question is definitely transgressing the law at possible juncture wherever he possibly feels that he needs to, or he possibly doesn't realize that he's transgressing the law. That's one. Second aspect is that if this was a case, the first case, totally out of the blue, for the first time, maybe the court would have possibly taken a different view on this because this is the first case against the person. But the fact that there are 10 cases pending, and to make an outright statement that all Modis that which you put out, which you played earlier before you started the debate, is something which definitely is defamatory. There is no question about it. Falls within the parameters of Section 499, 500 of IPC, point blank. There is no question about it if you bring down the image of the person. Likewise, if there are any BJP people who are making these kind of comments, the Congress people or AAP people or whatever the other parties are, they are free to approach the courts of law.
What would you say to the justification or the argument from the Congress and the other opposition that Mr. Rahul Gandhi was not saying this in the context of all Modis? He named 3 Modis, and clearly he was saying this in the context of Narendra Modi, that kya sare Modi chor hote hain. How can any person sitting anywhere in the world who has nothing to do with politics, Congress, BJP, feel so aggrieved that he or she decides to sue Rahul Gandhi for these comments?
Well, the person who sued in question was, having a surname Modi. Let me tell you something. If somebody were to make a statement that all Kotaris are, crooks or thieves or something of that sort, I would take a complete offense at that.
Okay.
And possibly even I would go and file a PIL in the court of law. And, in question, if there was a specific statement, and let me tell you, Zaka, for the benefit of your viewers, what the court is trying to say is that we are not here to encourage brinkmanship. We are here to encourage statesmanship. So people who are in political positions, people who are in positions of iconic, say like Bollywood people or anything of that sort, or who are in famous positions, they need to be more circumspect before they make statements of any sort, because those statements are relied upon and looked at. And it applies both ways. It just doesn't apply to Congress, it applies to BJP as well.
That argument can be flipped around. That argument can be flipped around and asked, is it the case that the BJP should be taking the larger view here, the 30,000 feet view here, and by letting some things be? Because by, disqualifying Mr. Gandhi as a member of parliament, and now 2 courts, first the Sessions Court and now the High Court, sort of rejecting his demand or his ask for a stay on conviction, the easiest argument to make is that, look, all of this is happening at the behest of the BJP, that this is plain and simple upfront vendetta politics.
So, was there a BJP member who wrote the judgment in the trial court, the session court and the Honorable High Court of Gujarat? Absolutely not. And when the Congress spokesperson says decimation of institutions, and we are not surprised, it's a direct assault on the constitutional court, which is the Honorable Gujarat High Court. It's a direct assault. I have no doubts about it. And it is this mindset that's dangerous. You like a judgment, the court is fair, the judge is fair. You don't like a judgment, then this is the institution being messed up with.
Okay.
It can't be like that. Every day, Swapnil's a fellow colleague lawyer. We go into court. This is Singhvi goes to court every day, Dr. Singhvi. You win a case, you lose a case. It's a daily thing. A judgment will be in favor of someone and against someone at the same time.
True.
It's a routine process. It's about you going out there and taking care of your legal requirements. Now let's look at Mr. Rahul Gandhi. He comes up with an obnoxious statement. Why do people with the surname Modi, why are they all thieves? He has an opportunity to apologize, he doesn't.
Yeah.
The court gives him that opportunity to apologize, he doesn't. After he's convicted, he said, "Ye satya ki ladai hai." What is this satya ki ladai? What kind of truth is this?
No,
that all Modis are thieves is his fight?
So
is that relevant?
Can I ask
every
Salman,
point that Mr. Soos has raised in this debate is basically to run away from the core issue.
So can I ask Salman Soos? Can I ask Salman Soos?
He wouldn't be this problem.
In these last 5 or 6 years, there have been multiple defamation cases that have been filed against Mr. Gandhi. In some of them, he has apologized and they've settled it even before the matter went into trial. So the question that's being asked is, in this case, if Mr. Gandhi feels so passionately that he didn't refer to all Modis and that the petitioner in this case, Purnesh Modi, has nothing to do with what Rahul Gandhi was saying in that rally in Kolar, then why doesn't he do the reaching out? Isn't that a fair question to ask?
Well, first, Zaka, in this case, Rahul ji is talking about the one Modi that we already know. We all know who it is. And the reason he's talking about, the context is basically that this government has let some of the most egregious criminals to escape this country. Okay? And this government has promoted rampant cronyism in this country. They're basically taking away the rights of the 99% of this country's population. So
how? In what way? If I may, please. In what way?
Well, by basically, I mean, all you have to do is when the Prime Minister, for example, this is just an example. The Prime Minister went to the US, gave an interview to the Wall Street Journal. The same Wall Street Journal wrote a piece on Mr. Modi's economic policy of giving 6 companies, basically in India, basically using 6 companies, big mega companies, to develop India. That's the Wall Street Journal, the same place where Mr. Modi went. But let me just come to the gentleman,
the debate at hand,
the lawyer, yes, about this issue of Mr. Gandhi having 10 cases against him and the judge observing he's got 10 cases against him. These are cases, most of them filed by BJP people against Mr. Rahul Gandhi. And by the way, in those cases, he has not been convicted. As far as I know, as long as you have not been convicted, you're innocent till proven guilty. How can the judge? So how can the judge basically say he's got cases and that is bad? Now, if that is the standard to be followed, then what about the president of the Wrestling Federation of India, who has basically devastated the lives of young Indian women wrestlers and who's got so many cases against him, some of the most heinous cases against him? But there's nothing. Maybe the Gujarat High Court should take suo motu notice and bring him and convict him.
No, so let me expand the ambit. Let me expand the ambit. One second, Salman. One second, Salman. One second. I'll come back to you. I have time. I have time on the debate.
No, just 1 second.
We have another 14 minutes to go.
Please, 1 second. Please.
Okay, man. All right. Okay, go ahead.
As far as defamation is concerned, let me ask you: was there not a person named Narendra Modi who went out on election campaign day before he became Prime Minister and said that traders are more risk-taking than Indian soldiers? Did he not defame Indian soldiers then as a class? Should we not be talking about those things?
No, so you were well within your right to file a defamation case if you felt that it was defaming soldiers. But be that as it may, I think we're digressing. I want to come back. I want to come back to the present case and what the judge wrote in his judgment. And Swapnil Kothari, please weigh in on this. The judge says, and I quote, "In the present case, the following additional countervailing factors operate against the petitioner. Defamation is an offence of public character wherein the fundamental right to reputation and dignity is involved. The conviction of the petitioner involves the impairment of the cherished fundamental right to dignity and reputation of a large segment of the population. The public standing of the petitioner and the fact that any utterance of the petitioner attracts large-scale publicity gravely impairs and damages the reputation of the complainant and the identifiable class in question. I think that last part is absolutely important because the court is basically saying that Mr. Gandhi, and I believe in 2019 when he made these comments, he was in a very senior position in the Congress party, unlike today. So for Mr. Gandhi to make those comments and almost instantaneously those comments find mention in media channels, in newspapers, in digital websites, etc. Therefore, the complainant does not have a chance to defend his or her reputation. Is that a valid point that the court has opined?
No, absolutely, Zaka. There is no question about it. The words impairment, damaging the reputation, identifiable class are all very pregnant as far as the observations of the court is concerned and the reasoning behind this decision of upholding the conviction. When you say the word impairment, that means you're trying to say that the reputation is damaged, and obviously the person has got no chance to defend himself or herself against those kind of blanket remarks that have been made. And my first point, Zaka, before we go into this, is that the very fact that, I find it a little bit odd that, any party for that matter, whether it's Congress or anybody, when they don't find a judgment going their way, they tend to say that the institutions have been compromised or decimated, or their integrity has been damaged in some sort of way by Prime Minister Modi. I don't think that's a very fair comment to make, because I think we have one of the most independent judiciaries in this whole world. And let me tell you that I've practiced before several courts in the world. And let me tell you, this is one of the most independent judiciaries that we have. So to cast aspersions is absolutely out of place. Number two is, the identifiable class and the impairment part. As I pointed out, this is something which is not absolutely in good taste. This is defamatory. And let me tell you one thing, as far as any of the political points that are concerned that have been raised by my fellow panelists about demonetization, about, bad policies, do not fall within the ambit. You can have ample evidence. You fight that in a court or in the case of in a parliament. Don't make statements against that person like that. And likewise, if there are statements which have been made, but no, one point, Zaka, if 10 cases have not been convicted, but they have not been quashed either. So the cases are still pending.
Okay. All right. I want to thank all our guests. I want to thank Nalin Kohli. I want to thank Salman Soz as well as Swapnil Kothari for joining us. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It was an engaging debate. Now, I want to